David Ward. David, many of you in the state of Wisconsin know that he was in the state assembly for many years and was the author and the proponent of our siting legislation that got approved a few years ago. David was a dairy farmer for many, many years, and now he's a dairy director at the Cooperative Network, formerly the Wisconsin Federation of Co-ops, and now they have a joint venture with Minnesota as well. And Dave, welcome.
Usually these things are way too high for me, so I'll just grab the mic and get my slides up. Well, thank you. Again, I think it's great that we're here today to talk about this. I think the more we get together, the more we talk. I think what's great about dairy farmers in this area, in the upper Midwest, we can disagree on some things, but we generally don't get disagreeable. Unless you're in my position when you're working between Wisconsin and Minnesota, or usually Packard Vikings come into the conversation at some point in time. But usually farmers have the opportunity to talk about things like this and acknowledge each other's opinions as a good opinion, and even though they may disagree with it. Why is this important to cooperatives? The bulk of the milk marketed, produced in the United States is marketed through a cooperative. Those cooperatives are owned by their farmer owners and governed by boards of directors that are elected by their farmer owners. And I see a lot of board members of cooperatives in the audience here today. So it's an important issue for cooperatives. I think one of the things that we've always kind of said about dairy policy, and it's kind of evolved from regional politics within the dairy industry, and so that's there. We've got regionalism in the dairy industry, and there's some things that we can and cannot do, and I hope that as we go down this path of discussing the different options, we keep number one, the upper Midwest region in mind, is to better do something that's good for the upper Midwest region, because we've got a lot of positive things going for us now in the upper Midwest, and so I would hope that anything that comes out of discussions like today do not hurt dairy producers in the upper Midwest. Where we've been, I always go back to 1993, when the year that California overtook us in milk production. And I think, when you see where we've come and where we're headed, it's kind of agree that we don't want to do things that will stop some of the positive things that we've been doing in the dairy industry here in the state of Wisconsin. But Wisconsin didn't react very well to California overtaking us in the dairy industry. You can see the blue line or the top line, California's production kind of skyrocketed. Ours remained very flat. So if you're looking for if overproduction is a problem, you can make the argument that the overproduction did not come from the upper Midwest, it came from the western part of the country. Cow numbers went down. And so we did not react very well. A lot of people thought, okay, California overtook us, we'll get our rightful place back in the next year. That did not happen. Our cow numbers in Wisconsin went down. We had some problems in the dairy industry in the state. We are no longer America's Dairyland, even though it said so on our license plate. California was kind of outpacing us in production. We were losing farms in production, and that had a huge impact on rural Wisconsin, the rural Wisconsin that we all know. When you start losing farms and cows go off the farm, that changes the fabric of a lot of those rural communities. And that had an economic situation or stress on those rural communities, had an impact on the communities and schools themselves. And it also had an economic impact in the state of Wisconsin. $17,000 per cow economic generation by each cow in the state. And we were worried about our manufacturing capacity. As co-ops that purchase that milk, we're very fortunate in this area that we have a lot of co-ops that are there and privates. See, I'm here, so I gotta mention the privates. That are willing to purchase that milk. Some areas of the country, there's maybe one or two buyers. I guarantee you, if you decide to change milk plants today, there'd probably be 4 or 5 cars in your driveway tomorrow willing to pick up your milk. So we are very fortunate. We wanted to keep that going strong in the state. It's a huge economic impact to the state of Wisconsin, the dairy industry. So there were some concerns, what's going to happen if the dairy industry leaves the state of Wisconsin? Because we were kind of headed down slowly decreasing production going down, cow numbers going down, farms going down. And I think the situation is we're going to come to that tipping point. So it's no longer going to start slowly going down, it's going to drastically go down. We did not want to reach that point. You can see there, that slide's a little bit old. I think it's about $27 billion the dairy industry is attributed to the ag economy in the state of Wisconsin. Creates a lot of jobs in the state of Wisconsin. So as a former policymaker, those numbers concern a lot of people in Madison. What are we going to do to try to, shoot some life into the dairy industry? And I think we did some things to shoot some life into the dairy industry and production in the state of Wisconsin. And I would hope that the message we sent to the industry was, we want you here, we want you to grow, we want you to be successful. And so whatever plan we talk about or come up with, I don't want to be sending a mixed message now that all of a sudden we want you to stop growing, we want some of these things. So I think it's important to realize why we did some of the things. As state policymakers, we took a look at what were the barriers to growth. Why weren't production being successful or growing in the state of Wisconsin? Summarized a lot of reasons, but high property taxes were one. High cost to modernize was another one. Permitting issues was one that snuck into those things. Lack of benefits for producers. And we were having issues with processor capacity. The industry wasn't growing on the farm or for processors. To answer that, my pals in Madison came up with some things. Use value assessment. We started taxing farmland on its productive use, not on its speculative use. The dairy investment tax credit has caused about $1 billion of infrastructure reinvestment in the state of Wisconsin on dairy farm facilities. These are things the state government said, we want you to grow, we want you to expand, we want you to modernize, and we'll help you do it. And so $1 billion of investment was at dairy farm facilities as a result of the dairy investment tax credit. The livestock siting proposal has been fairly successful in removing a lot of those barriers and roadblocks to farms to expand. So far there's been 40 permits issued by the livestock siting board, and I think the vast majority of them, probably over 30 of them, have gone to families that want to bring the next generation back onto the farm. And I think that's the kind of expansion we want in Wisconsin, is growing family farms. And so health insurance, we've tackled that with a lot of different ways, but one of them was the Farmers Health Cooperative, and we've worked on expanding the processor through some tax credits. It's worked. We've grown our industry here in the state of Wisconsin. You can see by the graph that it's growing, and I think this year we may hit that record of 25 billion pounds in 2009, even despite the low prices. So we have grown the industry. So after sending all these signals to the industry, we want you to grow, we want you to do this, we want you to do that, I just hope that they keep those messages in mind when they go, what should we look to in the future? Because we have a great opportunity here. When you look at transportation, it's about 8 cents a pound cheaper to ship cheese from Wisconsin to New York City than it is from California to New York City. So we have the advantage of feed and a lot of other advantages here. So I hope that when we look at where we want to head with the program, that we keep these things in mind, because we have been sending messages to the industry that we want you to grow. Now granted, growth in an industry and the production has caused some of the problems we have in prices now. When we look at how we're going to get out of that, I think we need to keep in mind we want to keep a strong, vibrant dairy industry here in the state of Wisconsin. And because we've sent those messages to our producers in the past, and I just hope that in the future, that whatever plan we come up with, whatever product that is dealt with out in Washington, that it keeps the upper Midwest and some of our needs and goals in mind. And with that, Corey's starting to creep up here, but we'll be having another discussion similar to this at our annual meeting coming up in the middle of November. This is a very good topic, and it's something that I think you can never learn enough about what we should be doing in the dairy industry. So, Corey?
Thank you, David.